All right, we're in week 5. This week we have one theme, place, which honestly I think is one of the most interesting aspects of what contemporary art is doing. And so there's some general information on place and then also an engagement activity where you're going to be looking at temporary installations, which is, I think, one of the most interesting ways that contemporary artists are dealing with this idea. Putting art in a particular place and a place where people have put art in other moments, I think is really interesting, the way these things kind of cross connect or don't. So place is is the theme. You're also going to be doing your other engagement activity is a share out for your artist project. I always feel like one of the sad things about the applied project is that I'm the only one that gets to see a lot of what you're discovering. So there's going to be a discussion section assignment where you're going to share out something interesting that you've learned. And in order to complete that activity, you have to make a post, and then you have to respond to 2 other students' posts. So all of that gets you the completed thumbs up for that. Those are your 2 assignments. You also have the third of the applied project is due this week. This is the one where we start to get into themes. And so the why. Why do they do what they do? You now have a few themes under your belt. So that idea of thinking about art from an idea based perspective, a conceptual point of view, is now something you're a little familiar with. The first thing you're going to do, though, is just tell me how other people talk about the artist's work. So again, this is sort of just reporting out what you're learning. All of those things are posted. We're halfway through. I was going to catch up on the grading, and I'm not quite caught up on the grading, but I will do that because it's important to me that you know, especially at the halfway point, where you are in terms of your performance. So look for all that to show up. What else? I added some things into our discussion of Contempo art in the wild. Something about art related to the World Cup. Something about all of the art that's installed in the new Obama Center, which is some pretty cool stuff there. There was a project that just has been up and has just been removed in Paris by the artist JR, which is a kind of callback to Christo and Jean-Claude covering the Pont Neuf. JR tried to do something. It was a bit of a disaster because of high winds, and then also the heat wave that's happening in Europe right now. So check that out. Oh, and then the last thing that I posted was about David Hockney, who passed away last week. Pretty elderly guy. He had a nice, long, fun life. He came up and was really important in the 70s, is where really his career started. But one of the things that was super fascinating about him, especially as he got to be old and then really old, is that he's one of those artists who was always exploring new technology. And so there's an article, kind of a remembrance of him, that came from the New York Times that talked about how he used different kinds of new technologies to make his art. He was always keeping it fresh, which is not always the case, especially for artists, when they get into their 80s and their 90s. So check all that out. Let me know if you need anything, as always. I hope that your summer's going well. We're coming up on July 4th. Enjoy that. Be safe and all those things. And enjoy week 5.